Welcome to this IGotAnOffer McKinsey PST video, where we will discuss 10 tips to increase your chances of succeeding at the McKinsey PST. At IGotAnOffer, we've helped thousands of candidates prepare for the McKinsey PST, and more than 80% of them have been successful so far. This McKinsey PST guide summarizes a lot of what we've learned in the process of doing this, so let's get started. Tip number 1. You should answer all questions in the PST test because there are no penalties for wrong answers. Indeed, every right answer gives you +1 point and every wrong answer 0 points. As a consequence, if you hesitate between two answers or are running out of time during the test, you should select an answer at random. With a bit of luck, this will boost your score and help you succeed. Tip number 2. This one is going to sound obvious, but you should write down your answers in the answer sheet as you progress through the test. I'm taking the time to mention it here because in the past, some candidates who trained with us were so stressed on the day of their test that they forgot to do that. In the end, all was well and these candidates succeeded at the test, but we encourage you to save yourself this last moment of panic and fill out the answer sheet as you progress. Tip number 3. You will have 2 minutes on average to answer each question. At IGotAnOffer, the first time we took the test, one of the mistakes that some of us made was to refuse to skip questions. This was a big mistake. It's very tempting to continue wanting to answer a question once you've already invested 2 minutes trying to find the answer, but in our experience, skipping questions after 3 minutes if you're not making any progress is actually the right strategy to maximize your score overall. When you skip a question, you should obviously not leave the question unanswered. You should pick one of the 2 or 3 options you're hesitating between. This hopefully won't be a completely random guess as you'll have probably eliminated some of the answers after 2 or 3 minutes. Tip number 4. We've helped thousands of candidates succeed at this test. And if they had one thing in common, it's probably this. They all invested some time at the beginning of their preparation to brush up their maths. Now, the maths calculations in the PST aren't that complicated. You'll only need to do basic additions, subtractions, divisions, and multiplications. The real challenge is that you have to do a lot of calculations very quickly and you won't have time to double check them. This requires practice. Tip number 5. When you brush up your math skills, you should make sure that you practice estimating results as opposed to doing precise maths. In a lot of cases, answers will be far apart enough for you to approximate results in the McKinsey PST. You should definitely try this as it's one of the simplest things that can make you much faster at answering questions in the PST test. Tip number 6. A common mistake in the PST is to start doing calculations as soon as you are done reading the question. This is very tempting because you want to answer the question as fast as possible. However, doing this can actually be counterproductive if you don't know exactly what you're calculating. So our advice is to first plan what you are going to calculate and then do the computations you need to do. This is the approach that's fastest overall in our experience. Tip number 7. When you answer a PST question, it's usually fairly easy to eliminate 1 or 2 of the possible answers. The difficult part is to pick the right one amongst the 2 or 3 that are left. This is difficult because some of the answers that will be left will all look correct, but there won't be enough evidence in the documents proving that they are correct. The rule in the PST is that if an answer is not proven in the data, then it's not correct. This is very important, so I'll repeat this sentence. If something looks correct but is not proven by the data in the PST, then it is not correct. This is something you should remember as you practice for this test. Tip number 8. A question that candidates often ask us when they start preparing is, should I read the documents first and then the questions, or should I read the questions and then the documents? Now, everyone has their own personal preference, but the vast majority of people we worked with found it much more effective to read the questions first and to then look for the information they need to answer the questions with in the documents. Tip number 9. Time is very precious when answering PST questions. Once you've read the question and you know what information you're looking for, you should speed read the text. What we really mean by speed reading is that you should be scanning the text for the information you're interested in as opposed to reading line by line. Once you've found what you needed, you can answer the question and move on to the next one. Finally, we would encourage you to always start with charts and tables when you're looking for information to answer a PST question. Charts and tables are almost always helpful to answer questions. But large sections of text in the documents are sometimes irrelevant, so stop hesitating and start with the parts of the documents that you know are more likely to contain the data you're looking for. Okay, that's it for this series of tips to succeed at the McKinsey PST. If you have any questions about the McKinsey PST, don't hesitate to ask them below, and our team will answer them. All questions are good questions, so go ahead. The next thing you should do is watch our video on how to prepare for the McKinsey PST. In this video, I will introduce you to the step-by-step approach successful candidates use to pass the test. Right, that's it for this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.